So, this corpse has kind of been lying here for a few months, and it's really starting to stink up the place. You think we should do something about it?
I thought we should have called the cops like a month ago. It's not healthy to have a dead body in your room for...
You know, the funny thing about this is, like, while the Wii U is on its way out, like, for good.
On its way out.
No,
it's been dead for like 8
while
months
it's
now.
officially on its way out, with a new console rolling in, last month was when I finally decided to get Super Mario Maker. So by the time I actually managed to make any levels in the goddamn thing, no one's going to be playing it anymore.
Let it be known that Lewis, out of all of us, has the greatest tolerance to Nintendo's bullshit.
Oh, nah. Not at all. Although, I do have to applaud the Wii U and the Wii for one thing that none of the current consoles seem to have, in their headspace, and that's, with the PC and console markets blurring together the way they have been these last 2 generations, Nintendo seems to be the only console developer that's thinking, okay, what do we have to offer that the PC won't do better? And the only real answer to that is we have freedom to control what controllers are packed in with the system and what the games are developed for.
Yeah. So the Wii U, we figured we should do this because once the Switch comes out, I don't think anybody's going to be thinking about the Wii U for a long, long time. It's just kind of...
People are thinking about it now.
Point granted.
Well, aren't we not doing a discussion?
Because Switch misses in 1 week.
There are 3 people on this planet who are thinking about it now. Including the 4 of us.
See, Miyamoto, whatever the new president's name is, I can't remember his name, and Aonuma. Kimishima, that's his name.
I think it's really telling that they didn't even, as far as I can tell, Nintendo didn't even send Wii U versions of Zelda out to press outlets, as far as I'm aware. Just Switch versions.
Yeah, I've been hearing nothing but Switch.
Yeah, well, why would you send the technologically inferior version? You're going to send the one that runs better and runs on the system that you're trying to actively market.
Well, it's like Zelda seems to be one of the only games that might actually have the gamepad be worth a damn, because in a game that big and vast, actually having the map in your lap at any point might actually be kind of helpful.
You would think, but in practice,
I would think so.
All that really means is that you're really tempted to keep your eye on the map. And I have this problem with mini-maps in open world games,
do that with
too.
Grand Theft Auto all over the place. I don't actually look at where I'm going, I just look at the mini-map.
The Witcher 3, I was playing it like a Ubisoft game at first. And anyone who's played Ubisoft's anything knows exactly what I'm talking about. If they've got a mini-map, they have the exact same thing. And I was going from waypoint to waypoint, picking up herbs, just grabbing anything that had an icon on the map. And then I went back to play it months later. I decided I'd turn the minimap off, and I had a much better time.
Hyrule Warriors, I only look at the map in that game a lot of the time. I don't even look at the environment.
Yeah. It's a helpful thing to have in a game, but if you design it to be too convenient, it becomes a crutch, like detective mode. And a lot of games have fallen into that. And does Breath of the Wild have that mini-map thing going on?
Hold on, let me pull...
I don't think so.
Hold on, let me quickly pull up a gameplay video of it running on the Switch. And I'm sure there's a small map somewhere on there, but as...
Yeah, I would imagine
Yeah,
so.
but, I mean,
But
you
this
probably
is,
have to
guys,
pause
this is the
to
Wii
see
U
the full
discussion,
one.
not the Zelda Switch
Yeah.
commercial.
Yeah, it's like, this is exactly our point!
So, now here's actually my question. Do you think that the Wii U was dead on launch? Because here's the thing, the launch sucked for the Wii U, but you can say that about pretty much every console.
You can say that about the Switch already.
It's it's a better launch than the Wii U.
I was about to say even the Switch is better than the Wii U. The Wii U had new
Nintendo
Mario U
Land.
and Nintendo
Yeah,
Land.
but you know what? No, I'm not going to say the Wii U was dead on launch, and here's why. The PlayStation 3.
Yeah, and the 3DS too, for a Nintendo example.
Yeah.
The 3DS skyrocketed after like a year and a half. So...
But it doesn't. The launch is a big deal, and that's true. That's true for anything. But you can always recover from a bad launch if you play your cards right and make that slow burn towards success. The PS3 managed it, the 3DS managed it. The Wii U is going to go down more like the Saturn and the Dreamcast. It's not like it has no games, which is the hyperbole way of saying that it doesn't have enough games that I'm interested in, but it has.
They're so few and far between. It wasn't worth having it for any particularly period of time.
It has enough good games. It has enough great games that 20 years down the line, collectors are going to want to get their hands on it and play those games, assuming those games aren't also compatible with something that comes out later. But it's not. It's a very, unless you happen to have very, very fortunate tastes in that you get an exceptional amount of fun out of those specific great games, which isn't true for everyone, no matter how many games a system has. It's not a system that you can budget for, you know? It's you buy it at full price, okay, now how many other games am I going to get on the future? How much mileage am I going to get out of this? And a lot of players don't get a lot of mileage out of it. I don't get a lot of mileage out of it. I have it because it's my job.
I think from the start, it had a handicap. Not so much from what we discussed about it, because since its inception, I've always hated the Wii U for its name alone.
Yeah, their marketing was absolutely horrid about it.
Oh man, yeah.
It's a few things. Well, first off, Wii U. That's a siren noise. As in, emergency, we need to get something out. Secondly,
it's just Miyamoto and he's standing there, menacingly.
Just the mainstream.
Keeping in mind,
just
the Wii's previous major install base was casual gamers who didn't necessarily keep informed on electronics or gaming consoles specifically.
They also fell off the map after the halfway point of the Wii and went to mobile devices, so...
All of those people thought it was a peripheral for their existing system.
Exactly. A lot of people were not aware that it was a completely different system.
Yeah, because it's like the whole point is to focus on the gamepad, which makes sense, but you focus on it so much to the point where people think the Wii U is the tablet, and it's not the console. So, at the very least, the Switch is definitely doing a better job at making its marketing clear that this is a whole new thing.
That's mostly because it doesn't share the Wii name, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe they just should have not called it the Wii U in the first place. So.
Well, obviously, but... And honestly, just looking at the Switch, it looks more like what the Wii U should have been in the first place, but whatever.
Oh, yeah. It baffles me that the Switch in its entirety, Joy-Cons attached, is smaller than the gamepad. That baffles me.
I honestly don't think they could have achieved this gaming tablet thing economically at the time the Wii U launched.
Probably not, no.
There have been previous attempts at a very similar kind of tablet, usually with Windows or Android or something on it, and they're all ungodly expensive. This is a $300 attempt at it, and it's gonna suffer in some areas for that, but I don't think they could have pulled it off at that price point at all when the Wii U came out.
Especially the Wii U was $350, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
something like that. And the last time I remember a major gaming company trying to basically do the console on a handheld thing, we got the Sega Nomad.
Yeah, that was... Oh god. Yeah, Sega was that company that was always so far ahead of its time that it couldn't sustain itself.
How many double A's was the Nomad? Was that 6?
No, that was the Game Gear.
The Game Gear was 6. The Nomad, I want to say, was actually around the same.
Oh.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
I mean, it was damn impressive for the time, but goddamn, eating all those batteries.
Yeah, it had really shit battery life, and oh god. I want one as a collector item, because I'm a Genesis baby, but it's not something that I'm gonna say was a great business decision at the time.
I was gonna say, I don't even know if you'd be able to beat Sonic 3 and Knuckles before the batteries,
Depends on how good you are at it.
It did have an AC adapter, I will say that.
imagine trying to play the Sega Nomad with 2 carts sticking out on top of it. That just seems really stupid.
Well, that sounds awesome.
It sounds also like a liability because you're gonna jostle that thing. The cartridges are gonna get wobbled, and then the game's gonna freeze. Whenever you wobbled a cartridge, it basically froze the game.
Cartridge tilting.
Yeah, it's not like USB ports with today where you can jostle it a little bit and you're probably going to be okay. No, if even one of those contacts slid even a little bit, that game was toast.
And that's how we got done.
Oh, man.
But yeah, back to the Wii U. I'm just kind of looking at my game collection for the Wii U, and aside from I just kind of thinking about it with the other Nintendo systems I have, it's easily the lowest amount of game total for any Nintendo system I own.
You want to know what makes it worse for me, though? Is that there's so many games on this thing that I don't... But it's not just the low number of games, it's the amount of games that I don't need the Wii U to get the same experience for anymore. Because, like, the whole thing about Nintendo with the Wii and Wii U is like, oh, you can only play these kind of games with motion and tablet and whatnot on this system. But Twilight Princess HD, you can play that on 2 other systems.
Wind Waker HD you can play on the GameCube.
Wind Waker, Mario Kart's Mario Kart, like...
Smash Brothers is Smash Brothers.
Here's the thing. Splatoon, yeah, kinda, but there's gonna be Splatoon on the Switch.
Fatal Frame 5, Splatoon, what else? What else?
Rayman Legends to an extent.
Yeah, but here's the thing. There's Splatoon, if I want to play Splatoon within, like, the next 3 months... I'm going to be playing it on Switch with Splatoon 2. So the only game that I would
You're still not calling it Splatoon.
But the only game that I would really need to boot up my Wii U for to get a similar experience is Pikmin 3 for me. Yeah, like that's the only must-play game I think that I will be going to the Wii U for ever again, and that's sad.
That hits on a huge problem I had with the Wii U in its early days. Pretty much all of its third-party support was ports of games that were already on the other systems with some arbitrary add-in in there, like Batman Armored Edition, or Mass Effect 3.
When you couldn't play the first 2 on the system, so
Assassin's Creed 3. Okay.
Wasn't Arkham City terrible on the Wii U too?
Well, because it was handled by Montreal, and they weren't as good at it.
Wasn't Montreal also the ones that did
Montreal
Origin?
was the ones who did Origins, yeah.
Yeah, and then they went and changed the counter system so that you couldn't counter while you were throwing a punch, and that threw the whole combat system out of whack, and that's why I couldn't get into Origin.
But I mean, the Switch is suffering a little bit from the same problem, but not quite as bad. But yeah, I mean, aside from the usual Sega stuff, because Sega and Nintendo are BFFs now, and Rayman Legends, I can't really think of any big third-party games on the Wii U.
Yeah, because I'm thinking back my collection itself and Bayonetta 2.
Yeah,
but that was
that's pretty much it.
But that was funded by Nintendo, so I only kind of half count that.
Yeah, that's more second party. But Fatal Frame 5, and that was a game
Fatal
we got
Fatal Frame's owned by Nintendo now.
Oh, is it?
They own that franchise.
Really?
I don't know when they. Yeah.
I thought that was Tecmo.
Fatal Frame characters are in Smash Brothers trophies, so they own the franchise 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they did. I didn't even know those were in there. Are you sure that's not a new thing? That more recent than Fatal Frame 5's original development?
I think it might have been the Wii game, but I'm not super familiar with the franchise, so I'd have to look it up.
But yeah, I completely forgot about Fatal Frame 5 because it didn't have a physical release, so no one heard about it.
Yeah, it was. Well, it didn't have a physical release. It not only didn't have a physical release. It's like the Yakuza games on the PS4. It was released years after its Japanese version, which is good. I appreciate that the digital market has given them a place, a dumping ground, shall we say, for games that they didn't think would sell here, and to an extent, that's proving them wrong. I think Yakuza is enjoying some success in that regard.
It's definitely grown in popularity since like the PS2 days for sure. In terms of Yakuza. But yeah, like especially Fatal Frame, I also remember had a weird launch because it was like free to start. I think
it was free. You could play the first chapter for free, but once you got to the point, it would tell you to go buy the game.
Yeah, basically. So it was confusing.
So a demo.
Yeah.
But you had to download the whole game all at once. So if you downloaded the whole game and you didn't want to play anymore, you had to delete like 2 gigabytes off of your tiny hard drive. So
Yeah. That was a problem. That was just a problem with how they handled it.
And I mean, granted, the Switch doesn't have much better hard drive space either, but at least micro SD cards are easier to deal with than full-on USB.
And at least with
drives.
the fact that it's a handheld device as well, I can more understand it in that regard. It's still pretty inexcusable, but at least I can understand some reasoning behind it. Having only 32 gigs for a home console, especially after, even the PS3 Slim had way more memory, was like, no, that's just being cheap on your
Well,
fault,
here's the
Nintendo.
thing. How excusable is it if they're selling it as both a home console and a portable unit?
I never said it was completely excusable. Just slightly more excusable, because I can understand some reasoning behind it.
It probably wouldn't have changed too much to even like double it to 64 or whatever.
I've said it before, but 32 gigs is basically the upper standard for a tablet. The lower standard being 16. So they're just... I don't like it for what they're selling it as, but it makes sense for what the hardware does. What to expect out of this kind of hardware at this kind of price point. At a higher price point.
No shit, I'd be less disgusted if it had a floppy disk drive.
Better hope Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2 get a physical release here.
Yeah, like how much is? Well, I'm just hoping that we get any of the Dragon Quest stuff.
But Heroes 1 and 2 is 32 gigs, and since the operating system takes 7 gigs of the internal memory, you cannot download the Dragon Quest Heroes 1 and 2 on your Nintendo Switch without adding more memory to it.
How much was Zelda again? That was like 17, 18?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was a lot too. So, like, I hope people aren't downloading that game.
Do you see this?
Because
we keep going back to the Switch,
Damn it.
Wii U has...
which is how less of an impact the Wii U really had on our lives as both gamers and Nintendo fans. And I love Nintendo.
I love playing Smash and Mario Kart, but that's nothing unique to the Wii U.
Yeah.
We're already getting Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch a month later, and I'm pretty much assuming Smash Bros. Is going to be on the way at some point.
Since they haven't talked about it, I'm thinking that they might try to be working on a Smash 5. Just to, like, this, that's what I'm hoping, honestly, too, because that would be more exciting than yet another porty kind of game, but, like...
We'll have to see, but ultimately, just kind of going back to the Wii U, because that is technically the discussion topic of this video, I can't really... It had no impact, it was just there for a few years. And, I like Mario Maker because I like Mario games, but at the same time, I was playing build your own Mario levels way back in college, back when Lunar Magic was still a thing, so that still wasn't even anything new to me.
Yeah,
so
the thing is, with the Wii U, is that when it had a great game, it was a really good game, but those were very few and far between, and you can only go off of first-party titles for so long.
You know what it feels like? It feels like the Wii U is the stereotype that the Wii had made manifest. Like, there was always this stereotype for the Wii that, you should only ever buy the first-party games because there's nothing worth playing otherwise. And I honestly disagreed with that statement for a really long time.
No more heroes.
For the Wii, because there were games like The Blob and Trauma Center and Mad World and Red Steel 2, No More Heroes. There were a lot, like, maybe not as much as your Xbox 360 or PS3, but there were a good number of unique, interesting third-party Wii games. But for the Wii U, it really is nothing but Nintendo games, and even then, so many of these games are being ported to other systems. Yoshi Woolly World, that's a fantastic game, but now you can play it on your 3DS. Hyrule Warriors,
as poorly as it runs on 3DS.
Well, actually, what's interesting is that it technically has a higher frame rate if you're playing it on new 3DS, but I played over 300 hours of that on my Wii U. So, like, I played my Wii U maybe as much or even more than my Wii, but I don't need to ever touch it again unless if I'm gonna play Pikmin 3 once Splatoon 2 comes out on Switch.
Well, that's another thing. It's just that the severe lack of franchises on the system. We had Mario Wii U and 3D Land, but those were kind of already versions of games we already had, in a sense, from 3D Land and other new Mario games.
It was so mishmashed that Ryan called it 3D Land, which is the 3DS game,
right?
Instead of 3D World.
What
was the Wii World?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Like, it took...
But it has no Zelda to call its own. not 1.
No, you're right.
No Metroid, no F-Zero, no, obviously no F-Zero, but I mean...
It took, what, 4 years for Star Fox? And that game's super divisive as well.
And that's practically just a copy-paste of 64 as it is.
Yeah, that's like... It's weird, because that's like one of the only Wii U games to actually try to do something with the tablet, and it still has an identity crisis as well.
It has a hell of a cringe curve and a hell of a learning curve.
Yeah.
Cringe curve?
Cringe curve, yeah.
Cringe curve. I never heard of that.
No real Pokemon game to speak of.
Pokken was fun, but I'm betting that we're getting either a 2 or a port to Switch eventually.
Yeah. It's also, at this point in time, incredibly niche.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's.
I mean, it's finally getting some love in like major tournaments. I think
Evo.
Was it Evo was finally getting Pokken love?
Something like that.
You know, so good on them. But you know, general audience. I mean, it was to me it was sort of a one and done.
Pokken doesn't have enough to offer to really stand up against all the other competition in the fighting genre. I mean, you got Mortal Kombat. You've got even to an extent the new Street Fighter at launch had possibly a little bit more than Pokken, which is more of a statement that Street Fighter V kind of didn't have much going for it at launch.
I will contest that, but I see where you're going.
I think the biggest issue with Pokken is that, well, for one, the roster was incredibly anemic, especially considering that at the time, there were over 600 Pokemon. Like, come on, you could have a roster of, like, 20
And 2 of them were Pikachu.
2 of them were Pikachu, and 2 of them were Mewtwo, I want to bring up. There's a Shadow Mewtwo and a regular Mewtwo.
Pokken was a modern fighting game with the roster of the original Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Pokken, and granted, they have been adding more characters in the arcade version in Japan, like Empoleon's there now, Krogan.
Well, good for the arcades in Japan.
Yeah, so that's why I'm expecting either a port or a sequel to Switch, because it'll sell.
I'm sure we'll get a Pokken 2 now that they actually have figured some things out. So,
and not to mention that they'd love to throw in a whole bunch of Alolamon as well, considering how well Sun and Moon did, you know.
Yeah, but, you know, it's just like Pokken wasn't even a quote-unquote regular Pokemon game. It was a fighting game, so it wasn't any sort of RPG in a sense.
So,
I mean, besides Mario, I can't really think of any established franchises that really kind of got their own thing on the Wii U.
Or at least something... Pikmin 3. Pikmin 3. That's really the only one.
Pikmin 3 is the only one I can think of.
Pikmin 3 is, to me...
That's right. Ignore Lewis. Ignore him.
Yeah. Like, I do want to stress, I love Pikmin 3. It's one of my... I think I can safely say it's one of my favorite games of all time. I love that game. It is fantastic, but... It's probably the only thing and I love Splatoon 1, don't get me wrong. I love that game too, but... Like, when Splatoon 2 comes out, I'm not going to see myself going back to 1 very much. So the only game I'm going to need to play on my Switch, on my Wii U, is Pikmin 3. And, like, even then, I don't play Pikmin, like, every week or whatnot. I mean, I suppose people who are still really into Smash will get some use out of their Wii U for a while.
Until the eventual Smash Switch comes out. But...
Yeah, but...
Over time, I have amassed just enough stuff on my Wii U in the form of digital content that I consider it worth keeping. But most of that stuff is Wii games. Metroid Trilogy. I don't want to hunt down a physical copy of that, thank you very much, so I'll take my digital copy. And
that's another thing to talk about with the Virtual Console. Why did you drip feed everything again?
That was so dumb.
The Virtual Console in a nutshell is just why. Like one word review is why.
Here's my thing with that, okay? They have a perfect model of how to do that. If they really want to drip feed it and not pour a bunch of stuff that they have on a previous console on. The PlayStation 4 is drip feeding, you could say, PlayStation 2 games onto their market, but it's never the same games that they had on the PS3. It's all obscure shit that you never had a chance to play back in the day. Now you do. People have a reason to buy that stuff. Have you ever heard of Rogue Galaxy? I never had until it came up on the PSN store. I really want it now.
Oh, Nintendo. Why?
Thankfully, the Switch games are tied to your Nintendo account now. So I'm hoping that means...
And you can tie it to your Nintendo account, so that's what Ted was probably going to say. I'm hoping that means they'll let you, whenever they get the Virtual Console up, they'll let you just download all the ones you had on your Wii U to your Switch.
Get some cross-buy action going on here. Like, I was so pleasantly surprised when I got that PS4, and Shovel Knight was already on there. Dead or Alive 5 was already on there. I had all that stuff from the PS3.
Yeah, I really hope that's the case. I mean, granted, they're still going to drip feed to some extent. Like, we'll probably have to wait for, like, I don't know. We're probably not going to get everything all at once, but at the very least, if I don't have to buy it again, because that was another confusing thing. Like, if I bought Super Mario Bros. On the Wii Virtual Console, I had to pay an extra $1 to get it on the Wii U, but you could still play it on the Wii U if you went back to the Wii menu on your system. Yeah. It was confusing. There was never really clear messaging from Nintendo when it came to stuff relating to the Wii U, which was...
You were essentially just paying so that you can play it on the gamepads when you take it with you to the shitter.
Except for that the signal doesn't reach my shitter. Alright, it's on the other side of the house, so, you know.
Well, tough shit.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, man. So...
I just on a similar note, I mean, just to go back to games and what will you be using the Wii U for once the Switch comes out? I mean, essentially, besides a couple of games here and there, I'm only going to be using the Wii U as a means to get high-definition recording of Wii footage on the console, because to me that's still the go-to way of recording Wii games, at least.
Yeah, it's a useful gizmo for us, sort of. I mean...
I have a lot of Virtual Console games, so, like, if I want to play those, I'll probably boot up my Wii U, but I really would like to just pack it away because it takes up a lot of space. The gamepad's clunky as...
Yeah, mine's completely packed away now, and I'll only bring it out when I need to record something.
The most annoying thing about this gamepad is that every couple of days, the little light on the button will blink. And
that's aggravating!
I have to turn it on, look at the ad, turn it off, and it'll stop blinking at me.
Play me!
Have you seen the pictures of the Wii U ads playing the Switch stuff? And it's like, this is when they have you when they have you train your replacement at work.
Replacement. Yeah. I can still make you happy.
Oh man.
It's just, you know, a lot of the time there's like this kind of bittersweetness when a console library wraps up. Like, I remember kind of being like, oh,
none of that here, though.
Yeah, like when the GameCube and the Wii happened, it's just like, oh, no, I'm not gonna be able to play those really all that much anymore. And I'm not feeling it this time. The Wii U was a disappointment all around.
A disappointment, yeah. And you know what? Even Sega Saturn and Sega Dreamcast have some sort of nostalgia factor. Like, some heavy nostalgia factor from their previous owners. Like, because...
I would say a part of that is because of how easy it is to pirate games with the Dreamcast.
That too, but...
I'm talking as a guy that loves the Dream. I love the Dreamcast. And
at least I'll give credit to the Saturn and Dreamcast. They did try a lot of new ideas and were a bit ahead of their time in a lot of regards.
Yeah.
The Wii U brought nothing to the gaming landscape. Absolutely nothing.
Well, more specifically, the games that were made for it brought nothing to the gaming landscape. The system was designed to bring something to the gaming landscape, and then no one, not Nintendo, except for Super Mario Maker, and nothing else.
I would still contend Mario Maker because I was playing Lunar Magic back in college. So
here's
but
the
were
thing,
you designing the levels?
Well, first off, Super Mario Maker's on the 3DS, so
now it is. But...
Well, now it is, but it could have just as easily worked on the 3DS back then. Like, the thing is that unlike the Wii, where
there's something that I want to say about that. Okay, a lot of what Mario Maker does is done on the touchscreen, and I have a problem with doing that on the 3DS. The problem with that is that even on the XL that I've got back there, the goddamn touchscreen's too small. I would not be able to move things around and scroll around comfortably on that thing while designing a level.
Well, it's that's just really a matter of convenience. It's like you could do it better with a bigger screen, but the point still is that my point was that you could do it other places. It wasn't a new idea, unlike the motion controls for the Wii. which was a new idea and actually allowed people to do things with it. Whereas with the Gamepad, it really was just trying to make the DS a home console. And as we learned, it doesn't really work the same when you don't have the screens connected by the same device.
Yeah.
So there was really kind of a limitation at the start to how much new they could do. Like, that's why so many games just use the Gamepad as a map, because so many DS games use the DS touchscreen as a map.
Yeah. The other limitation, though, is the presence of the Gamepad itself. And this is more of a practical concern, but this thing is goddamn expensive. You can feel it when you hold it up. So not only is it jacking up the price of a system that they could have easily sold at the same price point and made a hell of a lot more powerful, it's also a liability. You know, you're doing all this motion control stuff on this Gamepad, and what if you drop it and it breaks?
Yeah. It's not like a 360 or a PS3 where, you know, you drop a DualShock at most. You were paying was, I know this is still kind of extraneous, but $60. I think the Gamepad
$200.
Like 200.
Something like
okay, I heard 150, but I've been hearing
$200 is the
150
price
around there,
I saw
close
when
enough.
I looked it up. It might have gone down over time, but it's
Okay.
way too much, is what I'm saying. And
Imagine
this-
people-
Also, Nintendo completely went back on their promise on letting you use two on the same system.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things that the Wii U never. Come on, guys. Can we at least spend 5 minutes on the wasted potential of the vitality sensor?
That was back to the original Wii, dude.
I know, but they were thinking of bringing it back. And then
Did they ever do anything with Wii Fit on the Wii U?
There's a Wii Fit version on the Wii U, but it really is just the same thing as Wii Fit.
It uses
with
the same
HD
balance
graphics.
board and everything.
Same balance board. Like, that is, I will say, that is one great thing about the Wii U is that all your old stuff was compatible. So you
Yeah.
didn't need to buy a bunch of new controllers.
The only real disappointment for me was that the Wii U had to drop the GameCube compatibility, because the Wii actually had the innards of a GameCube on the inside.
or at least have some sort of patch to make the GameCube adapter compatible with standard Wii stuff, which.
Well, no,
unfortunately
it's not. The GameCube adapter is just controller stuff. I was talking about compatibility with all the old games.
I
Oh,
think at
okay.
some point you do just have to let the old games kind of go. Though,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
it was-
like you can't support everything forever. Unfortunately,
At the same time, though, there were some Wii games that allowed GameCube support.
yeah, that's true.
Sonic Unleashed Wii, Sonic Riders.
Yeah, and say that you say you love using the GameCube controller for those select games, and you bring them to the Wii U. Well, no, I can't control it the way I prefer anymore, and I don't like the Wii stuff, which is exactly why I stuck to the GameCube controller. In
The
first
problem
place.
with them dropping the GameCube compatibility, though, was that when I got the Wii U, I would have liked to, you know, let my actual Wii go, because I've got this system that plays Wii games, and I've got the Wii that plays GameCube games, and then
So now the Wii is just a glorified GameCube.
Yeah. The Wii is a glorified GameCube, but I've also got my GameCube because it's the only thing that works with the Game Boy player. So
Yeah. That's
I've
essentially where
got
I'm
the
at now.
GameCube to play Game Boy Advance games on. I've got the Wii to play GameCube games on, and then I've got the Wii U to play Wii games on, and I hardly ever play Wii U games. So what?
So essentially, you're not using any console for its built
Yeah.
purpose to go backwards. Okay.
It's a mess.
Wow.
Eeh. Yeah. Now, something I was just thinking, like, what happens 15 years from now and somebody wants to play their Wii U game, like, play their Wii U, for instance? How many working gamepads do you think are going to be left by that point? Like,
Oh,
I can imagine
geez.
trying to repair one of those or get a replacement is going to be damn near impossible.
That is going to be an eBay shopper's nightmare in 20 years. Ugh.
Yeah. Like, because already, like, it's not too bad to get, like, if I need a new N64 controller, like, I might get, like, depending on where I go, I could either get upcharged or, like, I could find one in a flea market for $10. So,
Or you can get like a third party remake one online, because I know there are online companies that make classic controllers that still make them today.
It's
so.
already enough of a pain in the ass to get a replacement gamepad now, because not only can you not buy them at any local store, and they're expensive when you find them online, I think there might be limited quantities of those things. So, ugh. Can you get the gamepad on its own on Amazon?
Nope.
No.
Looking up now, no.
probably not from any official sellers at the very least. Hold on, let's Let's do a quick Google search and
It's like
see
I
what
think
pops up.
I think you need to order it directly from Nintendo to get it at all.
I believe so.
So once they stop doing that, the only
You can get
quote-unquote-
refurbished ones.
refurbished, yeah.
From like $170, yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you can't get them direct from Nintendo though. So
No,
Not anymore.
Eddie never will.
Not anymore. I mean, I know they sold replacements at some point, but
Yeah, maybe at some point in the first year, but not anymore.
jeez.
Better take care of them while you have them.
Yeah, and
well,
here
that's
I am
why-
looking at mine, and the screen is all scuffed up, and there's fingerprints all over it because they went with that stupid piano black plastic that nobody likes. Why do people use this stuff? The stuff on the back doesn't show fingerprints half as badly. Why didn't you make the whole thing out of that? Come on.
because
Get with the
glossy,
So you
fancy.
you can buy those garish third-party covers.
Oh, I hate those. They always look very cheap to me for some reason. Like there's a difference between like actually modding your system to make it look cool. Like there's a lot of really cool Wii mods. Like the one that I think of immediately is the one with the Metroid screw attack symbol on it that looks awesome. But like the ones that you can buy in stores for the gamepad just always looked kind of tacky and lame to me personally.
The one I always wanted to get was the one that was, I think it was fan made, but it was shaped to look like the Miles Electric thing from Sonic Animation and Sonic Colors.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So here's I'm just gonna ask, what do you guys favorite Wii game? Wii U game.
Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
You mean X?
You mean X.
Xenoblade Chronicles
X.
2 is on the
Say
is on the Switch.
Which is exactly the point!
Xenoblade Chronicles X. Although Xenoblade 2 is probably going to be one of my favorite Switch games when that comes out. I liked Xenoblade X. It wasn't the same kind of game that Xenoblade 1 was. But so I can see some people being turned off by that. But for what it was trying to do, and as its own side franchise in the Xenoblade series, I really enjoyed it, and I'd like to see it continue.
It ended on a cliffhanger, didn't it?
It ended inconclusively. Less on a cliffhanger, and more inconclusive.
Okay. But John, I already said my favorite Wii U game was Pikmin 3, so I won't blabber on about that anymore. John, what about you? What was your favorite?
I mean, it's between the standards, I'm sorry to say. Like Smash Brothers, Mario Kart. Yeah, I mean, I love, like, single player, I thought 3D World was great. I mean, multiplayer you play for different reasons. Bayonetta 2.
Honestly, I thought
love
3D
Bayonetta
World was underwhelming single player. Like, not that it was bad.
I thought it was a good time, you know. And if you're playing multiplayer, you know what you're getting into.
Like, playing single player was fine, but it just didn't leave an impact with me. I never felt the need to go back to it ever.
I haven't felt the need to go back to it, but I did have a ball while I was playing it. The thing about that,
Oh, is that
though,
what you
is
call it?
that it really only gives you... it is the 2D Mario experience in 3D. That is what it is.
For better and worse.
Yeah, and 2D Mario, for all of its design finesse, for all of its flowful control, was never the same kind of sandboxy experience that a lot of other 2D platformers went for after Sonic hit the scene. So if you like having that sense of freedom and ability to fly off in your own direction, you're going to get a lot more out of the what Nintendo is now calling the core 3D Mario experience than you will out of 3D World.
And let's never forget that horrible pop-in and draw distance.
Man, the Wii U really did suffer at times.
You know, though, it is kind of hard to think back on the Wii U library, what I own, because I also went mostly digital for my Wii U library, which, you know, I plan on doing something similar with the Switch, because one of my favorite things about bringing the Wii U with me to, say, conventions and whatnot is that I'm also bringing my entire library of games with me. So I always have something to play. And I know, like, especially with how archaic Nintendo was, with how they set up account systems where if you lose the system, that's it. You can't re-download your games, essentially. But I plan on doing something else similar with the Switch because the idea that you can just take it with you and you have all your games inside the system itself, it's a great time. I love doing that. But unfortunately, it also means I can't recall most of the shit I have on the Wii U.
Yeah, you can't look at your wall and see what you've got.
Yeah, I can't look at my wall. I mean, if I look at my wall,
I remember that
right
you had
now, 'cause I do have some.
Fighting Street.
Yeah, I did have Fighting Street. All right, so if I were to pick a game from my physical collection of Wii U stuff, let me see. Nintendo Land, no. Twilight Princess HD, which is a GameCube game.
And a Wii game.
Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric. Sonic Lost World.
Ugh.
Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transfer. I'm noticing a trend here. And, no, there's nothing here. I'm sorry, Wii U. No, I'm not.
Yeah, the only things I can think of are, Mario Maker, just because I like playing other levels, and again, going back to my college days with Lunar Magic and all that. But I mean, it's like John said, pretty much the standards: Mario Kart, Smash.
Yeah.
Which I can appreciate Mario Kart 8 and Smash because they did well. Not only just were they great games, but they also showed Nintendo doing DLC right.
Hyrule Warriors 2 was great value for DLC as well, I will have to say.
So that's like the one positive I can really give to the Wii U is that Nintendo learned how to do DLC and they did it right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I hope they continue to do that with the Switch.
Yeah.
Because if anything, people were making a big stink about the Season Pass in Breath of the Wild. And I was like, well, Hyrule Warriors had a Season Pass too, and I thought that was a great idea.
And it's not like they're various other publishers where their season pass is like one character and a bajillion skins. I think DLC wise Nintendo has proven themselves to be trustworthy with that, at least for now.
Yeah.
And I will agree.
I am a little slightly underwhelmed though because well, okay, open world RPGs have had expansion packs since the dark ages of DOS. Rather the dark ages of early Windows, maybe Windows 95.
Probably 95.
Yeah, and like Baldur's Gate had Tales of the Sword Coast. I don't remember precisely what it ran for.
EverQuest back in the late 90s had expansions.
Well, yeah, that's an MMO. They have to have expansions for those, otherwise they don't. Otherwise they stop and their players go away and the game dies. But Baldur's Gate had Tales of the Sword Coast. Baldur's Gate 2 had a whole. Basically, the third part of the Baldur's Gate trilogy was an expansion pack. The Elder Scrolls, starting with Morrowind, had 2 big expansions, and Skyrim, Oblivion both continue that tradition, and all we've got so far is a sort of vague hint that we've got an expansion chapter with 1 dungeon in it, which is really goddamn underwhelming.
Not to mention that's not coming until November, probably. The only thing about the Zelda DLC that kind of bothers me is that it doesn't look like nearly as much content. You get this summer we get hard mode and you get a Nintendo Switch shirt. And yeah, we get a vague promise of an extra dungeon and another side story this winter. Where if you compare that to even games like Hyrule Warriors or even games like Mario Golf on the 3DS, where that game had a season pass and basically you were getting two new courses every month for 3 straight months and tournaments and new characters and all sorts of stuff. It seems very underwhelming. I agree with Lewis there.
The great thing about the Mario Kart 8 DLC was that the new content altogether represented a third of what you would get in the main package, which is consistent which is great considering the price of the DLC versus the price of the game. And Arlo brought up the point that Breath of the Wild is a $60 game, the season pass is $20. That's a third of the price you're paying for the game. But the content that you're getting is such a smaller fraction of what you're getting in that main game that it doesn't seem worth it. And I'm torn. I'm torn on that.
I'm not gonna buy because I'm not playing the game again on hard mode, most likely, because I hear that the game.
And we're back on the Switch.
Well, it's technically a Wii U game still, although it's really sad for all of the people who buy the season pass on Wii U and then they're walking around with Link on their with the Nintendo Switch shirt. Oh god, I wish I was playing it on that system. But
I do know a few people who are going to get on the Wii U just because they don't plan on getting the Switch anytime soon, at least not until the winter or whatever. But it's most people I know give no shits about the Wii U version at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a lot. I will say that you have much more of a reason to get the Switch come November than you did getting the Wii U come a year after its lifespan. Because, like, what games were out for the Wii U come winter of 2013?
A whole lot
3,
of ports.
Pikmin, like, I'm trying to think of games that came out in 2013. Pikmin 3, Mario 3D World,
A
that's
whole lot of
really
Wii
it.
U editions.
E-
A whole lot
yeah.
of Wii U edition ports. They were trying the N64 porting trick on the Wii U, and it just did not work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whereas for the Switch, not only are you going to have Mario Odyssey, which looks phenomenal, but there's also, like, Project Octo, whatever that was, the Bravely Default game. It looks so much stronger of a lineup.
Xenoblade 2, I think that's coming out this year.
Fire Emblem.
They say these games are... was Fire Emblem 2017 or 2018?
18.
18. Okay, yeah, they're being realistic with that. I think out of all the games, the most likely one to be delayed is Xenoblade 2.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm almost guaranteeing that's going to be delayed.
But I think I'm more pumped for this year's E3 than I have for a Nintendo E3 in a long, long time.
Well, considering they basically didn't even show up at E3 last year.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like they opened a hot dog stall across the street and peddled
Selling
their
Zelda
wares from
themed,
there.
Zelda themed hot dogs.
You can probably make Zelda.
Zelda,
hot
get
dogs
your Zelda
now.
for Wii U and Nintendo
The
Switch.
game's got a cooking system now, so maybe there's hot dogs in there. Maybe those are the hot dogs they were selling.
Oh man.
I'm sorry, I blanked out. What caused the hot dog discussion again?
I'm gonna title this part "BrainScratch Tries to Talk About the Wii U."
And decides to switch it up.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of hot dogs, how about that George Foreman PS3?
Oh man, I still have a dead version of that in my closet. Like, I've been holding on to it in case I wanted to show it in a review video. It is
What, a George Foreman? You should probably report that
no,
to the
no,
police.
no. The PS3, the original huge ass model, does look like a Foreman grill.
Yeah, mine still works and it still plays PS2 games.
Yeah, I recently got one from not Too Many Games, MagFest, and I completely forgot that thing weighs 500 tons.
You shipped that thing to me.
Pretty sure. Yeah, I know. And I'm surprised it wasn't confiscated as a weapon of mass destruction.
You know, it is amazing how narrowly modern consoles have avoided reaching desktop tower sizes these last couple generations.
The PS4 isn't that big.
The Xbox One almost is. Jesus.
Yeah, the Xbox One almost
the
is.
Xbox One is a frickin' brick. But
That's an insult
Nah,
against
it's a
bricks.
cinder block.
oh man.
I mean, a brick you can hold in two hands just fine, maybe even one hand. A cinder block is that huge ass thing that you can barely pick up, and it's the size of probably an Xbox One.
Probably weighs about as much, too.
Man.
Oh man, but I thought that this was gonna be like kind of a somewhat thoughtful farewell for the Wii U, but I kind of
No.
yeah, but I kind of before this, like I kind of thought that I was more gonna think more kindly on the Wii U than I actually do. Like I was thinking, there's not a whole lot of reason to play it anymore, but I still spent hundreds of hours on this thing. But the more I think about it, the more I just kind of want to out with the old, in with the new, Like maybe
Yeah.
10 years from now, I might think a little bit more kindly on the thing. But as it stands now, okay, here's something I want to ask. Historically, like 20 years out, what do you think the view on the Wii U will be? Do you think this will be viewed as Nintendo's worst system?
I think it's already considered to be
excluding
Nintendo,
the Virtual
aside from
Boy.
the Virtual Boy.
Excluding
Yes,
the Virtual
I think
Boy.
I think excluding the Virtual Boy is kind of a caveat for anything Nintendo console discussion. But I mean, I think it's already considered to be Nintendo's worst system overall, just for the lack of games on it compared to other systems.
if not worse, I would say biggest disappointment.
Yeah.
Most disappointing console.
Yeah, like, you know, maybe someday it'll make a resurgence in the fan game, in the fan mod community, the homebrew community. They'll work some wizardry 20 years down the line and start making homebrew games that actually take advantage of what it does. Because sometimes that can happen, rarely, but sometimes. But as it stands now, the only thing it has going for it is that its design is actually, until you get to the point that no one took advantage of it, its design is actually pretty smart. Because, as I said at the beginning of this part, the console and PC markets are blurring together, and this is a real problem right now, that if the console developers don't address it in a major way, it's going to bite them in the ass. It probably already is biting them in the ass. When I was a kid in the 90s, the division between PC gamer and console gamer was mostly about what kind of games you played, what genre of games you wanted to play.
Yeah.
But now it's...
So, first-person shooters and real-time strategies versus everything else.
Yeah.
Well, it's already biting Microsoft.
But nowadays, the PC gaming master race is a very recent thing. These days, it's about whether you want to pay for something cheaper or you want to pay for something that'll play the games better. And they have a few scattered exclusives to entice you toward the consoles, but that's about it.
Yeah, because you can play pretty much anything you want on PC. Like, you plug in a controller, you can play a platformer or a puzzle game just as easy as you can play a first-person shooter or a real-time strategy. And, nowadays, you couldn't do this back in the 90s, but nowadays you can hook an HDMI up to your TV, and even, you can even get the console experience on a PC. I mean, granted, it's mostly a price thing at this point. To get a good PC and to keep it updated is much more expensive than buying once.
It's an expensive investment at the start, but in the long run, you can save money if you're smart about it. That's the thing about the PC. You kind of got to be smart about it to get the most out of it. But the major disadvantage to playing a PC game back in the day used to be the lack of a good controller. I mean, you could buy a joystick and get some Atari level ergonomics out of that. I don't know. I think I mispronounced that. But the main way of playing the game, and I don't care what PC gamers say about this, a mouse and keyboard were not designed to play games. Games were just sort of retroactively crammed into them. And, like, gamers are really comfortable with WASD and a mouse right now, but that was based on someone's custom control scheme. That wasn't that wasn't, like, there was like a whole decade or two, or maybe even 3 decades where we didn't have that. Man, like the really old games used a key for every single action sometimes. It got ridiculous. The consoles, you developed a game for the console, and then you picked up a controller with 3 buttons and a D-pad, and it wasn't just convenient to get a game running, it was really easy to get used to playing it. That was the advantage, but that advantage is gone. The same controller works on these things without any middleware.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, I guess, like, the Switch, like, really, the Switch really just has the portability aspect going for it at this point.
The Switch has... It has a design aspect to it that your desktop computer will not match. It is not just the portability, it's also the way in which you play. You have the 2 Joy-Cons that you can multiplayer with, and let me tell you, it is actually a bit of a trip still getting local multiplayer on a desktop computer to work properly. But it not only does it have that portability, it also has the local multiplayer portability friendliness in its design.
And that's always been Nintendo's thing, is local multiplayer. If you want to play with friends, you were almost, like, I'd say up through the Wii, not really the Wii U, but up through the Wii, if you wanted to play with friends, your best bet was always the Nintendo console. Every time. So, Nintendo's good at the things that Nintendo's good at. They try other things sometimes, and they have mixed success, I think. So,
yeah.
Sorry. You should finish your thought. to first because I kind of wanted to shift to another topic.
I was going somewhere that actually brought this discussion back to the Wii U, so it's not
Okay,
it's not like we're back at the Switch again. The Wii U, the Wii U was the Wii U essentially tried all of this stuff first. So from a design aspect, this gamepad here, it's way ahead of its time in a Sega sort of way, but it's also genius. You've got a second screen that you can hold in your hand for a second player.
That was a criminally underutilized feature, for the record. Like when I played Lego Marvel with my brother, the split screen in that game's terrible, for the record. It was such a boon for each of us to have our own screen playing that co-op. It was amazing. So, criminally underutilized feature, I think.
It would have been better if this thing weren't so goddamn expensive and the screen weren't so low quality compared to most other portable things right now. Like, I think only the 3DS really trumps it in terms of low quality screen, and that's because it's been around for so long. But, like, you compare this to your mobile phone, I think the screen might be just a little bit larger, but it's so much lower res.
Yeah, like, you were right, though, about it being ahead of its time, too. Like, one of the first gameplay things we saw on the Wii, for the Wii U was a Rayman Legends trailer. And that had the Wii U had the NFC reader before Skylanders really took off. Like, it was popular, but they had that in there before Skylanders took off. And before Rayman Legends came out, in their trailer, they had like a little rabbit figure that you could pop on and play a rabbit level. That actually never ended up being in the game. But honestly, I think the biggest thing that the Wii U can really say for Nintendo is that the Wii U brought us Amiibo, which probably, honestly, without them, I don't think Nintendo would have done nearly as, like, they wouldn't have survived as well these past couple of years without these little guys. Because I have them littered all over my room. I love having a Chibi Robo on my desk and Yarn Yoshi's next to my TV.
You know, the Amiibo, you bring those up, but I've got a bunch of them piled up on my bookshelf just for show. I never use these goddamn things.
Exactly.
That's something they have to work on, but, you know, granted, where the hell else am I gonna get an official Palutena figure? Or, like, even...
Or Captain Falcon.
Or even Metroid. Like, you're not getting a Samus figure that's anything more than, like, $50 for a Figma or one of those first four things. You know, this is, like the resurgence of high-quality and affordable Nintendo merchandise, which I really appreciate. I love being able to be like, oh, I've got Pit. Like, I would have never been able to get a Kid Icarus figure if it weren't for Amiibo, and I'm really glad for that. I hope that they do work more towards making them useful. Like, that's actually something that Zelda's doing, is that Zelda's doing something interesting for the Wolf Link Amiibo, in that the higher score you get in the Cave of Trials on Twilight Princess Wii U, the more health you have at the end of that for your Wolf Link Amiibo. When you tap the Wolf Link into Breath of the Wild, the Wolf Link will have the amount of health, like when it's traveling around with you as a pet. Its health is dependent on your score in the Twilight Princess minigame. So that's a really cool idea, and they need to do more stuff like that. I honestly think that they need, would be like a killer app for me, is a game that really takes advantage of those kinds of things. But
I don't want to be super killjoy here, but I've never been a fan of the collectible figures with gameplay.
No, me neither.
Yeah, it's just like, there's only so much that you can actually do with a figure that basically has a little memory unit in the base, and you tap it to a controller, and then you tap it again when it's done, possibly, depending on what you did in the first place. And, like, Smash, with the whole trainable characters thing, is about the limit, but there's nothing about that you couldn't have done in the game itself without the figure.
I don't know, I'm a 5-year-old at heart. So I love having way too much Kirby stuff that
I like having the figures, but that's just it. I like them for the figures. I don't really want to save a trainable person on it, and the only advantage to having the figure is that I can take it to someone else's house, because I could have done that with a USB stick.
Yeah, that's why I think that the Breath of the Wild thing is cool. Because that's something where your progress in one game actually affects the progress in another game. which was the big thing about Amiibo in the first place. So I'm hoping that they take that and elaborate more on it with more games in the future. I'm not super hopeful that it will happen, but that would make me really excited for a
If
game,
someone
I think.
proves me wrong and does something really impressive with Amiibo in the future, or impressive with another similar concept in the future, I will give them a round of applause and beg to be their butler for the rest of their life. But right now,
Yeah.
I don't see the prospects.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's likely, I'm just saying it would be really cool if it happened. So, yeah. Yeah, but is there really anything else about the thing that you guys really wanted to bring up? Because...
Honestly, I can't think of anything really important that happened between launch and now, really. We talked about a few good some of the good games for it. It's like, as far as the system itself, I can't think of anything important that really happened during it.
And let the channel be a testament. We did have our fun with the console. All the Smash 4 streams we had.
Mario 3D World and
Mario
Rayman.
3D World, the Mario Kart stuff.
I don't play 300 hours of a game on a system that I don't at least like a little bit, for the record. So...
Yeah. Well, is that more the console or the game?
There does come a point when the hardware does keep you from enjoying a game. So
Yeah, Hyrule
yeah.
Warriors was one of the ones that sort of hit one of the Wii U's technical weaknesses, and it had a way of impacting performance in a noticeable fashion quite a lot.
Well, there's also Splatoon 2. Splatoon also. Sorry, Splatoon 2
Yeah.
is not out yet.
Just call it Splatoon.
No, I hate that name. I played hundreds of hours of Splatoon as well, so I love that game. So, the Wii U, if anything, brought us kind of the revival of Nintendo trying new IPs again. So, thanks.
Well, a new IP.
There's ARMS, I guess. They're trying another one. But yeah, I don't think any of us hates it, but it's a disappointment all around.
It leaves you feeling very not all that psyched at the end of the day.
Oh, that was the thing.
Yeah, it's probably our shortest discussion video ever at 1 hour and 1 minute. It might be a little bit shorter than that after I trim out the audio. Who knows?
Yeah.
Possibly. But, here's hoping in 5 years we don't have this exact same discussion on next
We
week's
better
release.
not, otherwise... Because you want to know what I don't want to put up with for the next 5 years? Nintendo is doomed! I don't want to deal with that for 5 years, again.
Yeah,
Because we've been
yeah.
dealing with it for 15, and I'm bored.
I've already got enough worries about the gaming industry right now with the influx of really long open world games that are kind of a problem when they take so long to play that you only really want one at a time, and that means everyone else isn't getting their sales in.
Yeah.
Let's get Horizon Zero Dawn and Zelda in the same 3 days.
Oh yeah. Oh man. The only thing that saved Horizon Zero Dawn, I'm gonna admit, as far as my purchase goes, is the fact that I'm not getting a Switch and I'm not getting Breath of the Wild on the Wii U.
I don't think Horizon will flop, but...
I don't think it'll flop. I think it will be saved by the fact that it's on a system that more people already own, and and not on a system that is just now coming out and doesn't have a lot of purchase incentive at the moment. But
Yeah.
we've got Horizon Zero Dawn, Breath of the Wild 3 days later, Mass Effect Andromeda next month. Somewhere in there, Persona 5 is in the middle, and that's not open world, but that's going to take a while to play. And what else is coming out this year? Oh, Conan Exiles, which is Skyrim with Conan characters.
Let's see, we're getting Yooka-Laylee, which is a collectathon, which always takes a while.
Yeah.
No, yeah, but those you can finish in a matter of days, so that's not really as big an
Yeah,
issue.
it's a matter of days versus weeks.
Yeah, an open world game like Skyrim, Fallout, Breath of the Wild, well, I assume Breath of the Wild, I don't know how long they're going to stretch that out, but Horizon Zero Dawn, these games take months at times, and then maybe you want to play it again with a different character build. They are the anti-competitor video games. The games that take that long are detriments to the industry when they arrive in such quantities, because people play these games for so long that they aren't buying other games while they do it. And this is not something the industry isn't aware of, so I don't know why it's a fad now.
Yeah, especially when you consider that not everybody, especially when you consider people who have a traditional 9 to 5 job, like they might only get 1 or 2 hours to play a day, or sometimes even like 3 or 4 hours to play a week total. If somebody like that's a good value at the very least. Like you get Breath of the Wild Switch day one, you could be playing that game all the way through December and not finish it probably. So good for them. But Lewis is right. If you have too many of those games, like nobody's gonna need to buy Bomberman if they're gonna be playing Zelda for 6 months. So yeah.
But Bomberman.
Oh, I'm buying Bomberman.
And now we're back
pumped.
on the Switch.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll probably I'm betting we're gonna do a Switch discussion once that thing comes out and we've had a little bit of time to play it. So we should probably save some of our.
Assuming my Amazon pre-order doesn't bungle.
Oh, you bothered with Amazon?
I got it like the first 5 minutes that shit was announced.
That doesn't
and I got
guarantee you
the
anything
pre-order.
with Amazon.
Yeah.
I mean, so far, I did it with the PS4, and they were on time with it.
I'm doing in-store
so-
pickup. I'm actually hoping that I can change my GameStop location because the location where
I doubt that.
I'm gonna try because the location I ordered mine at isn't having a midnight launch. So
Mine is.
you lucky asshole. So I really wanna get a jump on it. So I'm hoping I'll be able to switch locations.
Yeah.
It's probably a crapshoot, but it's worth a shot for me.
I mean, that morning I'm gonna be heading to the Toys R Us that's down the street from my house anyway, and pray. Like, I mean, I got a feeling that people are gonna be standing outside of that store anyway, considering how busy the neighborhood is. But my hope is that I can get a Pro controller.
Oh, I've got a Pro
Because
controller pre-ordered.
I managed to score one of the 7 at the GameStop I'm going to.
I would love to get a Pro. And Toys R Us usually has a surplus of those things because they're I don't know more dedicated to the thing than a GameStop is. Ironically, I don't get it.
Larger.
But
They're larger.
yeah.
Lewis, I know that you're waiting on one. Are you just waiting for Mario Odyssey?
Oh, no, Becca, my girlfriend, she pre-ordered her own Switch and Breath of the Wild.
Oh no, I actually hate Nintendo.
No, she pre-ordered her Switch and Breath of the Wild day one, special edition even. So I'm just gonna wait until we're together,
Okay,
And
that
maybe
makes
I'll
sense.
get my own Switch for that local multiplayer action. But she's already getting one, and I'm trying to move in with her. So why get a second one now?
Yeah, totally reasonable. Okay. Yeah, so R.I.P. Wii U, never forgetty, rest in spaghetti.
Yeah.
Yeah. May you collect dust in the afterlife just as much
And
as
let
your
us
normal
all
life.
eat spaghetti. I think is what Ted's trying to say here.
Yeah, it's
This-
dinner time. I'm
I
hungry.
like
This
spaghetti.
discussion was a mess.
Yes.
Aren't they
Like
all?
the Wii U in general.
Da-da-da-ba-da-da.
Scattered, unfocused, no substance. Terrible.
Unsubscribe from BSC right now.
And then resubscribe so you make us feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and stay tuned for Brain Switch commentaries. It's still BSC. 9 out of 10 assholes can't tell the difference.
Krusty the Clown, everybody.
Please look at my medical alert bracelet. Oh.